Welcome to Aspirations Over Hesitations, the podcast for high-achieving women whose ambitions are bigger than their fears. I'm your host, Allie Eldridge. As a mom, wife, and Fortune 500 company retiree, I know what it's like to wear many hats while still wanting more out of life. Whether it's stepping off the corporate ladder to lean into motherhood, healing yourself from chronic health issues to bring home that miracle baby, or launching your own business, you'll be inspired by stories of women who are going for the big things in life, in spite of anxiety that they too have experienced. Here, you'll find a community of moms who can relate to wanting what others say is impossible. They embrace alternative ways of thinking, working, and being, even when it comes with some uncertainty. One thing's for sure. If you want to live an unconventional, extraordinary life full of freedom and flexibility, you have to be willing to do things a little differently. Are you ready to say yes to choosing your aspirations over hesitations? Let's jump in. Hi, Charmi. I am so happy to have you on the podcast today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for our listeners, Charmi is the founder and head coach at Simply Fit, which is a virtual nutrition coaching and fitness company that caters to women in perimenopause and beyond. With clients spanning all over the world, she has successfully coached women from all backgrounds toward regaining control of their waistline without losing their mind. I love that language that you use. It's so good. Like me, Charmi comes from a corporate background and has a very inspiring story about how she got to where she is today.
Yes, I'm so excited to share.
Awesome. So with that, we will go ahead and jump right in. I would love to talk about your origin story. So you are from Abu Dhabi and came to Austin on a dependent visa 25 years ago.
Yes.
And you described this transition as having a suitcase full of dreams and zero clue how hard it would be to build a career in a new country. I cannot even imagine what that was like, and I'm sure some of our listeners can't either. So tell us, what was that like?
Right. So I came in on an H4, which is what a lot of women my age did when we moved from countries. So my husband was an H1B. I moved on an H4. And I had had a flourishing corporate career in Abu Dhabi. For those of you who don't know where Abu Dhabi is, Dubai is the more popular destination that people know. So Abu Dhabi is the capital of UAE. That's where I grew up. And so I got married, moved, and I had a great career in Abu Dhabi. And I was like, okay, great. Time to get started. And I had the most interesting interviews all throughout. And I thought to myself, I have an MBA in marketing. It really should not be this hard for me to get a job. But I had interviews where I was doing door-to-door selling, and I was like, this is not for me. And then I had an interview where I worked with some recruiting agency that had me change my name for some reason, which didn't strike as odd at that time. But now that I'm like, why did that even happen? So it was a tough transition because you come with all these dreams and aspirations. You have to start from scratch all over again in a country where you don't know how things work. And it was a bit of a struggle, trying to find a corporate job that I could feel comfortable doing. And so at some point I did feel a little, the self-esteem gets affected because now you're like dependent on someone to drive you around. I didn't have my driver's license yet. And then I'd sit for interviews and be like, do you have a work permit? And I was like, it's coming through soon. So it was just like, it does affect your confidence a little bit, especially when you've accomplished so much in your previous life.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. I was in Austin. There were not a lot of people I knew. There were friends of my husband, that I met. But they seemed to have figured out their way. So For me, it was just a lot of trial and error, a lot of it. So I would get all these interview calls and I'd get excited, and turns out they were all recruiting agencies interviewing me to see if they could place me somewhere. So I was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
So this is not this is not the interview I want.
no.
Luckily, I've worked for a recruiting agency where they placed me in the job of my dreams. I was working for them as a recruiter. They very well knew that my heart was not into it, and they did their best. They were like, okay, we're gonna get you a job that you love. So it's very cool when they got me a human resources job for a company based in Austin. And that was a very fun story too, because when the recruiter who then went to the hiring manager, he very well told her that, listen, I am not going to be using a recruiting agency for this because I can get enough applicants on my own. And she begged him. She's like, just interview her. You've got nothing to lose. Just interview her. And he said, okay, fine. And he did interview me, and he was like, okay, fine. I'll hire her. I'll pay you the fee and I'll hire her, even though I didn't want to do this. And that's how I got my job. And I was with it,
Wow.
and I had a blast. I learned so much. I absolutely loved the job.
That is so cool. That gives me goosebumps, like how they were just so helpful and helped you connect the dots and find something
Yeah.
that was really a good fit.
Yeah, yeah, I was very, very grateful to them for that.
And what were you doing in that job?
So I was an HR administrator, and handled everything from interviewing clients interviewing employees for hiring managers, scouting through resumes, doing the initial job interview before they went on to a second interview, organized company events, which was my favorite part. And so our HR department was really tiny. We were just three of us, and two of
Oh,
us did the admin. One did payroll, and I did the other things. So I had an absolute blast doing so many different things for this company. I got to know all the hiring managers. I would talk to employees when things were not going well. I tried to introduce a few changes in the HR department, and kind of employee development things, and did some training. So it was wonderful. It allowed me to do so much.
awesome. And then how long were you there?
I was there, I think it was 2.5 years, almost 3 years before I left to raise my baby, my first child.
Okay. And so let's talk about that. So, how did
Mhm.
motherhood change your career plans or the path that you maybe thought you were on or once were on?
Yeah, so I decided I would stay at home with my kids. And very quickly I was like, okay, this is fun, all the play dates and stuff, but I want to be doing something more. I absolutely loved the time that I could get with my kids, because I could not imagine doing a job and raising my child and doing both jobs well. And, as moms, we want to do it all right. Like, it's got to be perfect. So I got to stay at home with my son, which was nice because we got an opportunity to move to India with my husband's job for a couple of years. And that was awesome because I got to be closer to family. My son had a lot of family around him, and I was very much a big family oriented person. I grew up around cousins, so he got to have some of that experience. And then as a stay-at-home mom, uh, I had to get creative. Like, okay, how do I use my I was always a trainer teaching. I was like, how do I bring this with my kids? So I would teach them at home, teach them how to read and play with them. It was very fulfilling. Now my kids are adults now; they're 22 and 19, and I think all that time I spent with them has paid off, because till today, when things go well, I'm the first one that gets the text, and when things don't go well, I'm the first one they call. So I'm like, okay, I did something right there.
Yeah, you definitely did.
Yeah. And then when my second one came around, I heavily volunteered in their elementary school. So that was precious, very, very precious. They would see me in the middle of the day, and I got to see them. So that was very, very nice as well. So I did volunteer a lot with their schools.
That is really sweet. I love that. Well, and I mean, you hear and you read about so much how presence matters a ton,
Yes.
especially in like those first 3 years. But
Right.
I often think about the first like 7 years, because
Mhm.
that's when children are just solely operating with their subconscious, and everything is like imprinting, into them for
Yes.
better or worse.
Exactly. And I'm Gen X, so I didn't have a lot of exposure to conscious parenting and this is how you do things. So I just went with my instinct. And I went with what I had seen my mom and my mother-in-law do with their kids. And I said, well, they did something right. So I think I'll just kind of copy and edit a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and do the best I can for my kids.
Yeah. So as you were considering what to do when you were in those stay-at-home mom years and you were wanting to do something else and have some of those more adult interactions, what
Mhm.
made you go the fitness route?
Yeah, so once my daughter started kindergarten, I started looking for a job. I would have conversations with friends, and then one of my friends said, "Hey, there's a job if you'd like to join me." And I said, "Okay." So it was a part-time job. I went there for the adult interaction, had a great time, made lots of friends, and then I had a boss at that job who fired me while I was on vacation.
What? Tell us
Yes.
about this.
Yes. So I apparently he sent me an email. Now I was a part-time employee. I was on vacation with my family. I come back, show up to work, and he comes to my desk. He's like, I sent you an email. Did you not get it? And I said, no, I don't check email during holiday. And I'm a part-time employee. I'm not required.
Right.
Someone said that I needed to check emails. And he said, yeah, I don't need you right now because I would like someone to be here full-time and not part-time. And I was like, okay. I was like, that did not sit well with me.
No.
And I was not a big fan of him because I felt like he was someone who didn't respect women. That was the vibe I got. And he had done something which I was like, there's something creepy about him. Anyway, so I was let go. And so middle of the day, I just I show up to work and then I leave. And I was like, I think I just got fired.
Via
And
email,
so,
like how professional.
yeah, right. And so I started interviewing and my heart was just not into it. Like I would sit through interviews, I would be talking about, what I've done, but inside there was something just telling me that you really don't want to be behind a desk. This is not you. And so nothing panned out that was worth my time and effort to leave my little kids at, in a daycare or whatever after school. At that point, it would be after school and go work a job. So I said, let me try this whole fitness thing. Worst case, I will, shut it down. It may not work out. So I went to a store that sells secondhand equipment, bought some equipment from there, like kettlebell, which I still have. And I had this ball and band that I had bought from Costco for my own workout. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go to people's ladies' houses, train them in weight training because I've always been passionate about fitness. And I would always notice that at the gym floor, there would hardly be any ladies working out, lifting weights, let alone somebody that's Indian, South Asian, like me. And so it's like these ladies need to understand that it's not scary, that they can weight train. I can teach them how to do it the right way. So I thought, let me give it a shot. Less than $100 investment. No harm, no foul if it doesn't work out. Got these cute little, what do you call it? Business cards made from like FedEx, which cost me $10. So I was like, okay, it's not a big investment. Let me give it a shot. And I just put it out there that, hey, I can come to your house and train you. And I charged like $30 for 1 hour, and I would drive to their house and start training them. And I was like, well, people seem to like this, and time just went by. I was like, I'm pretty good at this. Clearly, they want me. They're working with me, which is awesome. And that's when it took off. And then the fun twist to this is that the gentleman who fired me got fired from that job. He was not doing so well. His entire staff just walked out one day on him. And so I was
Wow.
like, well,
Karma.
yes. So that's when I heard about it. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So anyway, so that's how I started in the fitness business is as a in-person trainer who would travel to houses, Plano, Frisco, Allen area.
That is so cool. One, I love how you just like went for it. Like you said, it
Yeah.
was like a very limited investment, not really any proof that it was going to work out or be a thing. But the people loved it. And so then that made it a thing.
Right. And I had no idea how you run a business. I have like spreadsheets. That was my husband who was like, you need to create a spreadsheet of the income you're making, the amount you're spending in driving. So the mileage will matter. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. So I started doing all of that. No idea how you run a business and what's required and, all of that. So it was a steep learning curve for me with little kids at home. But I can't complain. Like it taught me a lot. I met a lot of amazing women along the way.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, and especially in that
Mhm.
like one-on-one intimate setting, like you got to
Yes.
have important
Oh, absolutely.
conversations and
Yes.
connections.
Right. And I'd be in their homes, so I would see their kids around them and they would be working out and the kids would be bothering me. I was like, listen, while mom's doing this, I need you to do this exercise. Think you can handle it? Or can you watch mom for me and tell me how she's doing? So I'd get them a little engaged in it so that they'd let mom get her workout in.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
So, what skills were you able to apply from your time in corporate to having your own business, especially as it has grown?
I would say probably the people skills where, you sort of connect. The connection is the part where what makes my business run, honestly. And it was still a very much deeper and more intense as a business owner in the field that I'm in. So at corporate, you see a person 9 to 5, you interact, but you're talking about their health, their life,
Hmm.
their pain points, things that they don't normally discuss with anybody. I've had, clients just sort of cry their heart out. Like the whole session has been nothing but them just crying. And so it was really the people skills that I transferred over. And I have to say my business taught me to be a better listener and not just jump right in and be like, let me fix this for you.
Mm.
Right. So I would probably say that was the biggest one.
Yeah. And what would you say to women who are considering starting something of their own? Maybe they have a passion like working out or something else, and they're trying to figure out, is there a way for me to be able to monetize it? But they might feel stuck or scared or just hung
Right.
up on some very real challenges, like losing their corporate benefits. Like, how do you
Right.
navigate all of that?
Right. So if I had to do it all over again, and this is probably going to be off the beaten path, is if you have a corporate job, don't quit it yet. Keep that steady paycheck coming in. And then on the side, start your side hustle until you figure out a system in place. Because your first 2 years are all about learning how to run a business. So being a coach, being a personal trainer is not the same as being a business owner. They're two different things.
Mm-hmm.
So learning to be a business owner is you do the boring stuff. You wake up every morning, not sure where your next paycheck's coming in from. So if you want to do it, I'm not going to say go right into it. I'm going to say take your time. If you can go work for someone, learn a few skills, that will be very, very useful. And then if you want to step on your own, be very, very patient because it takes time and being and holding yourself accountable and showing up consistently is not easy. With a corporate job, you've got to go to work to get that paycheck. That accountability is built in for you.
Right.
Whereas as a business owner, you've got to hold yourself accountable. You've got to wake up in the morning, have your schedule. No one's holding anything over your head. No, there's no performance evaluation for you. So, if you've harbored this dream, start slow, start small, and don't have any expectations the first 2 years. Just
Hmm.
learn how to do it all. Read books, listen to podcasts. I relied heavily on the free podcasts and YouTube trainings initially before I invested in business coaches. So that's the other thing. There are a lot of business coaches out there who will take your money and you'll be like, you didn't really help me out. So
Yeah.
advice that if you can self-fund that business coach, do that. Don't dip into your savings for that. Read books and lean into podcasts and YouTube videos and talk to other business coaches, business people who've been in the business in different fields about their experiences because you will learn a lot from that too.
Right. Yeah. There's so many free resources out there.
Hmm.
And I love that you brought up the planning piece of it because that's something I always encourage women too that want to leave
Yeah,
corporate. It's like you have to have a corporate exit plan. Like it's
exactly.
not, no, I mean, most people are not just going to like walk in and quit on a Monday morning, but
Right.
there really is a lot that goes into it with setting aside money, starting to build up a savings account,
Exactly.
having the conversation with your spouse, figuring out kind of what is that bare minimum that you need. And
Hmm.
maybe it's not quite as high as you thought. Like maybe it's not that you need to replace 100% of your salary, but there's going to be a percentage that you need to replace before you feel like you can confidently walk away. And then
Yeah.
I think too, like having a day, a date in mind. Like even if it feels unrealistic or if it feels scary, there's something about like when you declare to the world and the universe that like you want something and you are going like all in on this, then the things that just start happening that are even outside of your control to help accelerate that vision.
Yes, absolutely. And two other things is number one, that business owners have a shiny object syndrome. We will get distracted. We're like, oh, maybe I need to put this into place. Or maybe let me try this. There's always going to be that attraction that, oh, let me incorporate this, course, or like, let me enroll in this course and maybe this will help me. So you will get distracted. So now be very, very mindful of that. Number two, women business owners, I don't know if this is a fair generalization, but I think I might be justified that our relationship with money is very different than a man's relationship with money. So when I created my spreadsheets, I had to plug in the expenses that I foresee, and I had to really think about what I'm going to charge and not be afraid to put a price on it. So that's another thing. If you are a woman business owner, it's really and I see this in my field a lot, where a lot of coaches are like, this is way too much money for something like this. And they're scared to charge that because they're like, I'm not worth that much. And I think I know for me as a woman, I was like, oh my God, should I be charging? Even right now, like I have a business coach and she's like, you need to be charging more. I was like, no. She's like, yes. And so there's that piece, which took me like I used to charge $30 for 1 hour.
Wow. That's a steal of a lifetime.
I know. And I would drive there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing?
But you do have to do that stuff, I think, in the beginning to like prove to yourself that you're worth it and that you're adding value. And I think that as a business owner, there is so much inner work that comes with it, whether it's the money mindset stuff or the worthiness and really just all of it. And like the more that you overcome kind of personally inside, then the further that you're able to go in your business.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like I said, like being a coach, wanting to help people is so different from being a business owner, being objective, compartmentalizing, like, okay, I gotta put on my logical hat.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I've noticed too is really different about having your own business versus working in corporate is just like the structure piece of it. I like structure. I had a lot of structure in corporate. And so then initially when I got out of corporate, I was like, no structure. I'm just going to kind of live freely for a while. And I did that. But then I got back to the place where I was like, I feel like I need a little bit more structure and discipline now in my business and my personal life. But my husband and I were having a conversation the other day and he was like, structure is very different when you have your own business versus when you're in corporate. And there's a lot more bleed over between like your personal life and your business. Like it's just your life in general.
Exactly.
Whereas in corporate, it's like when you're there, you're just doing 8 hours of work. Like you're just sitting down and only focusing on your job for the most part. Yeah. So what tips do you have? Because I know you've been in this space for a while for compartmentalizing, like you said.
Right. So make sure you're not working from your living room. Have a separate desk and area where you can focus and, just give yourself that permission to, even if you're in the house, just this is my space where I put work in. And then when you start your day as a business owner, it really starts the night before. Have an idea of what you're going to work on the next day. And that is usually the most immediate constraint, which is what I've recently learned is what is your most immediate constraint to getting you to the goal you need to get to, whether it's number of clients or it's a monetary amount or it's your social media. What is the most immediate constraint you need to work on right now to move you forward? So that part is where you need that focus. Because you have like 10 different things. You're like, this is a constraint, that's a constraint, no, not everything is a constraint. Like having a pretty website is not a constraint. You don't need it right now. In my case, I'm launching a 5-day challenge which starts on Monday. So my immediate constraint is making sure I have participants and that I'm nurturing them and that they will show up. That is constraint number one to have a successful challenge. And constraint number two is having my slide deck and all that stuff ready for my training for the next 5 days. everything else can wait. Like I
Yeah.
need to worry about, oh, do I need to create this reel or no? Everything needs to be strategic towards this one thing right now.
I love that so much. Even just that language, like what is your immediate constraint?
Mhm.
That's really powerful.
Right, right. And I just, like I said, it took me time to find the right kind of coaches and mentors, but now after 10 years, almost 10 years, I will say I have great people in my corner to give me good advice.
That's awesome. I feel really lucky because even when I was just starting out, like I
Mhm.
just got connected with coaches and people early on that I felt like were the right people for me. And one thing that I've found in like the coaching world when it comes to like finding a coach for yourself, I have been really lucky that like I just come across the coach and like that's the person for me. It's not like I'm researching 10
Oh, that's
coaches to
amazing.
figure out. It's just like they kind of like fall into my lap. And then
That's
I'm like,
wonderful.
this is exactly what I need. And they end up being really great. So it's cool how that can happen.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great if that happens. It's wonderful. In the fitness field, there's so many coaches, so many business coaches out there. And so it's always like I've been like, oh, maybe I should listen to this person. Or maybe I should listen to this or that person. And then it's like, nope, pick one, listen to them, and that's it.
Yeah. I've heard some people describe it as like coaching breakups where like you just break up with all and then you just pick
Yes,
one to like go all in
exactly.
with.
That's it took me time to get there, but I finally just did that. It's like I'm not listening to everybody.
Well, good for you. You're flourishing this year. So you're very
Yeah.
much an inspiration.
This year is definitely I was like, okay, I gotta make it happen. My daughter's now in college, so no kids at home. Well, this summer they're all home. But typically I have time to focus on myself now.
Awesome. When you look back on your journey as both a business owner and a mother, what fears or hesitations got in your way, and how did you overcome those to get to this kind of like peace-filled place where you are today?
You know, it was the mom guilt never goes away. It's like I've got to do this, but then I need to do well, the family needs it's that mom guilt just never goes away. So that was something I had to really work on, that it's okay. Like even right now, I just told everybody I've got this going on, so I'm gonna be upstairs. Don't disturb me. And so just that is something I've had to learn to work on. Um, and then, just knowing that if you want to do it all and do it really well, um, having the right kind of people around you helps. So, like being around moms, like the CEO Moms group, it is so useful to have women who are in your doing what you're doing, because you got to lean in. You can't do it alone. And being a mom and an entrepreneur is a very unique little group of women, right? We're just trying to achieve our dreams while we're being amazing moms. It's finding that set of people so that you can lean in and have that, just someone to be like, hey, you know what, you got this, you're okay, right? And then just understand that you can't be perfect. Perfection is overrated. Just be messy, imperfect, show up consistently. That's all that matters. Even as a mom, sometimes you're messy, imperfect. It's okay. You're still showing up. That's what
Yeah. Oh, that's such good advice. Because,
matters.
yeah, I mean, I do find that a lot with sitting in kind of what I call the in between of like
Mhm.
the working moms and the stay at home moms, where it's
Right.
like we want the best of both worlds. And like you said, we want perfection kind of in like both areas. But we also got into this because we want freedom and flexibility. And so it's
Exactly.
like figuring out how to
Mhm.
navigate and like make it all work.
Yes. Yes. And I know entrepreneur moms, most of us work from home. We have we're laptops, and so there's also that, as that mindset of everyone around you that, oh, you're at home, so you should be able to do this. But it's like, no,
Right.
I'm at home, but this is the time I'm focusing on these things. So I can't do these other things right now.
Yes, I
Drawing the
know.
boundary is a little challenging initially, even for the family to accept. But once you put it there and they see you're very serious, they'll respect you.
I feel that so much. And I had to do that when it came with like my schedule and the hours that we had childcare.
Right.
And if my mom or like someone that I really wanted to talk to called me, like not answering and telling her I'd call her later because those were the protected hours where I was paying for childcare. And I felt like I needed to
be working on my business during that
There
time.
you go. Exactly. Those protected hours, learning the importance. And if you value it, then everybody around you will actually value your time.
Can you talk about how you help your clients not only lose weight, but also get stronger? And then one of the things that you said that I thought was really interesting is avoiding medications as well.
Yes. So in perimenopause years, right, a lot of women come out with abnormal lab results, which shocks them because you're like, this was never a problem. Like I had an abnormal lipid profile and it was very slightly abnormal. So I wasn't put on medication, but I've had ladies who have hypothyroid medication or they've been told that your sugar levels are high. You may be pre-diabetic. If you don't want to get on medication, fix your lifestyle and your food, lose the weight. So when I work with ladies, I have never been a fan of strict dieting. I've never been one where it's like, okay, this food is bad, so we're not going to touch it. I don't like doing that. I teach my ladies that the bottom line is there is a reason you got here. Let's figure out that reason. What was that? Cleaning out the pipes from the origin, not just putting on a band-aid and like there's a leak somewhere, so let's just fix that. It's like, okay, why did you get where you got to? Let's first figure that out. Many women have no idea. They're like, well, I ate very healthy, so I don't know what the problem is. But like I tell them, I was like, we peel back the layers of the onion and then we find the core reason you gained the weight. And then it's like they don't even realize it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And so that way they understand that they don't ever have to give up their cultural foods. Like Indians are very passionate about their food. They have so much variety and so many things to eat and they're spoiled for taste. So it's like, you don't have to sacrifice your cultural foods, but you do need to identify the behaviors which are triggering you to eat while watching Netflix at 10 p.m. at night, or, stress eating when something goes wrong at work, or you've had an argument with your spouse and you just open up the pantry and just start eating. Let's figure those behaviors out first. But they're not aware of that. So my job is to help them find those behaviors. I help them with that, but I also give them some quick wins so that they feel like, okay, I've made progress. But in the meantime, I'm playing detective with them to find out what caused the issue. And then with strength training, I'm always like hammering on them. I was like, the older you get, this is the 401k in your longevity. This is what you're going to dip into when you're like 60, 70. So we got to strength train, teach them strength training the right way. They don't have to do crazy workouts, no burpees needed. You should just do it without jumping and hurting your knees. So work with them on making sure that their workouts are very strategic to their skill level, something that they can sustain. To me, it's always sustainability. Anytime I talk to a client, I'm like, okay, you're doing this right now. What are you going to do this 5 years later? Do you see yourself doing this? And if they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't think I want to do this 5 years down the road. It's like, there you go. Let's find what you can sustain for the next 5 to 7 years.
I love that. What's your philosophy when it comes to weight loss, specifically whether you should feel yourself hungry at any point? Because I've heard different things on this where like sometimes it's okay to like be a little bit hungry and it means your body is not only like burning fat and going into a calorie deficit, but also from like a gut healing perspective, it can be helpful from a digestion perspective. But then I've also heard like, well, you don't want to be like hungry because then you're putting your body into this sense that like it's not safe, or I don't know. So what's your thoughts on that?
So it's very unique to each individual. I feel like, first of all, and I'm always talking about the mature years where like right now at my age, my body does not require the same number of calories it did maybe when I was in my 30s chasing little kids. Right now, it's a little okay with being a slight deficit. I'm not talking about forcing myself into those long fast 16-8. I never do those with my clients. So that's as an example, I don't do that. For me, if I was to have my client fast and say stay hungry, I would say 12 hours, maximum 14. We're not going beyond that. There's really no need to. Number one. Feel a slight hunger, sit with the discomfort. We're so conditioned that the minute we get hungry, we're like, oh, let me eat something. It's like, sit, wait, hold up. If you've had a proper meal and it's not even been 3 hours, and you're hungry again, just sit with the discomfort and ask yourself, am I truly hungry or am I just peckish? Like I could eat. And most of the time it's like I could eat, but I'm not that hungry. So I'm like, okay, great. Then go for a walk. You'll forget about the hunger, or do something fun, or go organize a drawer and then you'll forget the hunger.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I work with my clients on is like, let's just first, don't be reactive, be responsive. So if you're truly hungry, yes, let's sit down and eat something nutritionally dense. Now, if you're like, oh, I'm hungry for a pack of Oreos, I'm like, okay, hold on. let's talk about this.
That's like my 2-year-old. He stops eating and he says, my belly's full. He's like, we're trying to get him to eat broccoli or something. And then there's watermelon on the other side of the table. And he like wants the watermelon. And we're like, oh, I thought you just said your belly was full.
Exactly. And it's funny how many adults will do the same thing. Or like, so are you really hungry? So if I gave you a bowl of like steamed broccoli, you'd eat it? Because if you're truly hungry, you'll eat it. And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm not that hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So I know a lot of women that listen to this show are experiencing hormonal changes, or maybe they're just not feeling their best. Like maybe they've had one child and that obviously takes a number on your body, your hormones, your nutrition, minerals, all of it. What can people do to start feeling better as they're kind of navigating these different changes in life?
Yes. So number one is audit your current food intake. What are you eating a balanced meal? In my experience, having worked with so many women, when I notice, I'm like, it's not the hormones that are bothering you. You're just eating haphazardly, erratic eating timings, sometimes skipping a meal, and then realizing, oh my God, I'm starved. So there's that. So just pay attention to your current lifestyle. Like, is it truly eating on time, eating a balanced meal? Is there protein on your plate? Do you move enough? Are you sitting at your desk for long periods of time? Because that's your body's, gotten used to that move. So, what's your movement look like? What does your sleep look like? Like, do you sleep well? How much stress are you carrying? So many women carry low-grade stress, and they don't even understand it. Like the moment they get married, they have kids, there's like that low-grade stress which stays with them, and they never acknowledge it until they acknowledge it. And they're like, I'm always stressed. Like I'm always low-key stressed.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there you go. So you're doing these things and you have no idea what it is to de-stress until you really practice and get that conscious and connect with your body. And you realize, oh my gosh, yeah. So like to give you an example, I run these virtual classes, and at the end of the class, when we're doing some stretching, I tell them all, I'm like, close your eyes and just sink into the mat. Don't tighten your body. Even to stretch, you need to be aware and let go. And I'm like, look, pay attention to your forehead and notice if you just start relaxing it. And when they start relaxing it, they realize how like, even though they don't have a frown line, but inside it's like tight. And then when they start relaxing it, they were like, oh man, yeah, I'm really relaxed now. It's like, there you go. You don't even realize that you're holding it that tight.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So with hormonal changes, forget about the protein and the meal plans. Let's just first start with like, are you sleeping well? Are you moving enough? Are you managing stress? Are you getting outdoors and walking a little bit? Let's just start there first. In my books, movement is medicine.
Yeah.
You move, you start noticing differences.
Well, and that free, like foundational stuff is so important. And I think a lot of people miss it and they want to go right into the more expensive, like, what tests do I need? What supplements do I need? And like sometimes it is important to go down that path. Absolutely. But I think, like you said, make sure the critical foundational things are in check first.
Yes. And even with the going to, there's a lot of functional medicine practitioners around. But I even tell them, I'm like, look, even if you go get your cortisol test done, you're still going to have to do the basics. Or even if you decide I want to get on the GLP medication, it's a great revolutionary thing out there, but you're still going to have to do the basics. Okay. So why not just do the basics first?
Right. Yeah.
Get good at it.
So how can people work with you? I know you work with people virtually, so it doesn't really matter where folks live if they're listening.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've got a client currently in London, so it doesn't matter where they can work with me, they can find me. I have a website, simplyfit.com, but I'm most active on Facebook. I have a private community called Simply Fit in Perimenopause. So Simply is with a C, where I do long form training. I'm getting ready to launch a 5-day challenge, so that starts on Monday. We're going to be talking about jumpstarting your fat loss, and it has nothing to do with meal plans or protein. It's just everything to do with the basics.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm going to be doing that, but I'm also on Instagram, simply_fit. So if they just reach out to me there, that would be wonderful. I do love for women to first get to know me a little bit so they don't think like she's just another fitness influencer on the internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I get it. It's a very crowded space. There's a lot of people out there. So I do go live inside my private community, and that's how most people really build that know, like, and trust factor with me.
Oh, cool. So people can join that community even if they're not inside one of your
Oh
programs.
yeah, it's a free community. It's just one of those where we're having our backyard power party, and I'm like, here, I want to talk to you about this today.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to go back to one thing you said early on when you were talking about your immigration journey and how that just really tanked your confidence. What have you done over the years to get that back or address any other kind of wounds that were maybe holding you back from where you ultimately wanted to be?
Right. So when I did get my dream job, my boss is he's a sweetheart, but he was very much one of those old-fashioned gentlemen who's like, man is like, women should be taken care of kind of guy. So I kind of leaned into that and I was like, hey, Monty, I want to learn a little bit more. Would you mind teaching me a few things about human resources? And so he was very nice. Like once a week, I would sit with him and he would teach me a thing or two about HR. And I always learned the value in asking questions because people want to help you out. And that helped me build my confidence, helped me build my connection. And then the more you do ask for, I want to do this. Like, let me be a part of this project. The more you step forward and show that proactive, approach to things, the more you build your confidence because you do the scary thing. So one of the scariest things I ever did was I competed in a bodybuilding competition. I was in the bikini division at the age of 44.
Wow.
First of all, I'm so old to start this right now. And I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I was so terrified. I was like, maybe the coaches won't even take me on. They'll be like, no, you don't have the physique for it. But I found an amazing coach. I 7 months committed to it. At the end of 7 months, I was on that stage, rocking that itty bitty bikini that you have to wear, posing, doing the thing I had to do. And I thought to myself, now that has built my confidence. 7 months of committing, nobody motivating me, nobody holding, giving me any cheering on or any kind of anything like that. It was just all from within. I was like, I want to do this for me because it's a scary thing. And I want
Yeah.
to see if I can do it. And I did.
That
And
is so cool. Especially, I love that you did it like post babies and like you had
my
never, it
gosh.
wasn't your background, like you just stepped
Yeah.
into it.
I was like, what am I doing? And, how am I going to do this? But I did it and it was awesome.
Yeah. Send me the pictures. I would love to see them.
Absolutely. I did it. And then 2 years later, my son, he was inspired that I did it. He's like, Mom, I want to compete. And I was like, okay, do you want to diet or do you want to eat? If you diet, you can do the bodybuilding competition. If you want to eat, do the powerlifting. And so he did the powerlifting. So 2 years after I did mine, he did his powerlifting competition. And it was
Oh,
pretty cool because it was like literally 2 years after I'd done mine.
that is cool. I love seeing just like the ripple effect of when
Yes.
families discover passions or healthy, kind of better for you options, how that impacts everybody, like going in both directions, like
Right.
generationally up and then also down.
Absolutely, 100%. It's just, and moms have the power to change the health of their family. If I've had clients who like started eating more vegetables and they were like, man, my kids wiped all the vegetables out, so I have to make more because they eat so
Wow.
much. So moms have so much power in changing the future of their kids' health, that if they leaned into it and really stepped into that, it would be amazing. Like their kids would be thriving.
That is so true. Yes. My husband and I were having a conversation not long ago where I said, like, you are kind of in this like financial leading role for our family. I mean, I still participate. We still have monthly money meetings and all of that, but he is more of the lead. That's his like background and profession. And then I said, I am the health lead for our family. And like, yeah, my recommendations, like kind of similar, you know, it's like, what mom says goes basically in terms of the health stuff. Like, yes, we can have conversations and we can discuss like why things are important or why I'm suggesting certain things, but really it is the mom that ends up doing so much of the research and just the legwork in regards to the family's health.
Yeah, and just by leading by example, right? Like it's one thing you tell your kids to eat the salad or the broccoli, but if they see you eating it and cherishing it and enjoying it, then it will reflect on them. But if they see you constantly worried about this weighing scale and I look thin or I look fat or this doesn't fit right, that language leaves an impression on them. And so the more the mom says that, oh, hey, you know, I worked out today, I feel amazing, and here's my bicep flex. So my kids will send me pictures of them flexing their quad, the bicep on their back. And I was like, that's awesome.
That is
like,
so
can I
cute.
share this? They're like, no, you can't share this on social media, Mom. No.
That's so cute. Well, our son, he would always see us eat salads for lunch because my husband eats salads almost every day for lunch and I'll eat them here and there. And he started asking for salads. And so I would cut up chicken and cucumber and avocado, like things that I knew that he liked, and then put them in a salad with like maybe a little bit of spinach in there at the bottom. And he ate it and he loved it. And he thought he was so cool because he was eating a salad like us.
Like mom and dad, exactly. And it reflects even as they get older. So it's very useful for moms, and especially moms who have daughters. Our girls are exposed to so much so soon. And there's still that sense of that, oh, woman is better if she's smaller. There's still that toxic, messaging that girls see. So when they see a mom that's very strong and fit and talks about fitness and talks about, in a very positive term, that I could squat this much, or I was able to run this much, or I wasn't so tired doing this, or like my kids, I will send them pictures of my yoga practice and tell them, look at my flexibilities improve like this. Then they're getting a more positive message that I don't need to be smaller, I need to be stronger.
Yes, I love that. And that's so important because I mean, I think when I was little, a lot of the talk was about the size of the jeans and the number on the scale.
Yes. And there's still till today, I see ladies my age and they're like, oh, I fit into my daughter's high school skinny jeans. And I'm like, well, that's not really an accomplishment. Like that's just wrong messaging right there. Like don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, I think I would look sickly if I fit into my high school jeans.
Yeah, and I was like, why do you want to do that? Like, just anyway. But yeah, it's just, to me, it's just like this, make it a very positive thing to be healthy. Like, this is why you want to be healthy. So you can go hiking, or you can do kayaking, or you can do these fun activities and enjoy your life without hurting yourself.
Right. Yeah. That's great. Well, is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I just, to all the moms out there, you're doing your best. You're doing great. You have your own dreams and aspirations. Don't be afraid to chase them. And it's always a fine line to maintain the sanity of the family and holding it together, because you are the linchpin, while also pursuing your own dreams and aspirations. So just be patient. Definitely don't fall for how anybody else is doing it on social media, because it's so curated. I have made that mistake where I'm like, oh, that person's doing so much better than me. And I was like, no, I'm just going to do my own and focus on myself, and surround yourself with moms who are doing the same things, just sort of lean into those women, because it's such a positive thing to have. And I'm very blessed that I have the CEO moms that I love seeing whenever we have our meetings. And then there's another couple of places that I always, enjoy meeting women pursuing and talking about ideas.
Yes, community is everything. And it has been super helpful for me on my journey from corporate into entrepreneurship as well. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Well, thanks for coming on the show. I would love to have you back sometime. You have so much awesome wisdom to share with women.
Oh, I'm so glad you gave me the opportunity. I love talking about stuff like this. So it was really fun.
Awesome. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good
Okay,
summer.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
If you loved this episode, please sign up for my email list, the AE Insider Club, where you will be the first to know about new conversations and upcoming guests. Also, please subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It really helps newer shows like this one. I'll see you next time.